What's up, everybody? You're back in here with the Pro Football Pod. You've got Hulk, you've got Coach. We've got the Primetime preview for you. We're going to break down and look at all the Primetime games for you. Thursday night, Sunday night. We got 2 Monday nights coming up for you, so a Monday night doubleheader. We got some good ones. There's a doozy on Monday night that we're going to have to dive into reluctantly, but we've got to do it for the people, for you guys. 500 subscribers, or we'll get one of you a free jersey, so go ahead and hit that button below. Every 500 subscriber benchmark, we're giving away one of those suckers to you guys, so help us, help you. We're here for the people. Coach, we got Dallas going into New York to play the Giants, both sitting at 1-2.
Do you remember what happened week 1 last year whenever Dallas played New York?
Yeah, and they
shut
won
them out.
Yeah, it was like
41.
50 something to 0.
I think it was 41-0. If I might be mistaken on the number, but I know that they shut them out and it looked really bad. The Giants finally had some life this past week, and the Dallas defense has not been able to stop the run at all this season. But I don't think that means much. I think Dallas is looking at a W. I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be starting like Singletary because I don't think that they're going to be up at all. I know that what happened with the Browns game this past week, like they were able to overcome some adversity. But the Browns and Deshaun Watson are very different than the Cowboys and Dak Prescott.
I agree. The Browns offense is absolutely booty cheeks. Daniel Jones did have a decently solid game for you. Devin Singletary, you already mentioned, had a great game. Malik Neighbors is looking fantastic. So, like, he's giving you absolutely what you want and making me eat my words preseason to this point, because I said that I didn't think Daniel Jones was going to allow Malik Neighbors to have any value. He's had fantastic value the last 2 weeks, so you're just kind of hoping that keeps up. However, like you said, Dallas, I feel like, has the Giants number in a way. I don't know. The Giants always seem to pull one out in Dallas when they're not expected to win. I've got to lean Dallas on winning this game here. Fantasy-wise, if we're just going that route, I think you're just starting your normal guys that you have. You're starting Malik Neighbors, you're starting Devin Singletary, CeeDee Lamb, obviously, Dak Prescott, obviously. Like, Daniel Jones, I don't know if I'd feel okay starting him, depending on my options.
Another 236, 2-touchdown game. I think you're going to see a couple of interceptions. Obviously, Dallas's defense is rostered in like 100% of leagues, but if not, like, that's probably who I'm picking up on the waiver this week. Like, if someone drops them because of how bad they did this past week, like, that's an easy decision. I'm playing Dallas's defense.
Yeah, I agree. And so I think this is a good bounce back game for the Cowboys. The Giants are kind of, riding a little bit of a high here. So I think this is a little bit of a comeback to earth game for them. The Sunday night game we've got for the people here, Buffalo going into Baltimore. Now that one, I like that one. That's a good game right there.
I can't believe that they have Buffalo winning. I know that Buffalo, as of this recording, hasn't played yet. So, like, we don't know, how Josh Allen and company's going to look with their current matchup. But I think that losing Terrell Bernard is actually huge. Like, Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard is a big portion of why their defense was successful whenever both of them were on the field. And without them, like, the whole next man up mentality, I'm not super convinced of. Derrick Henry had like 200 something yards rushing this past weekend. So I think that I'm getting ready for a very boring matchup. I think that, man, I'm so afraid of unless Josh Allen and the Bills can run the score up on Baltimore, I'm really afraid of playing any pass catchers for Baltimore. Like, if they're not in a shootout, like, they're obviously just going to hand the ball to the king and just let him run it down people's throats over and over. and then he becomes the only relevant person on the team. Like Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, all these guys have almost zero value.
Yeah, I mean, they ran the ball 45 times and attempted 15 passes. Lamar Jackson went 12 of 15, 182 and a touchdown. Like, super efficient.
Yeah.
But I agree on the fantasy side of it, there's no pass catcher that makes me feel great. And that goes for both of the tight ends.
Now, on the opposite side, Baltimore has been giving up a lot of passing yards. I know that they did eventually give up a bunch uh, to Dak and company. It just took until the third or fourth quarter for them to like figure out how they were going to do it. Kyle Hamilton was all over CeeDee Lamb all game long, but they don't really have a CeeDee Lamb. I think that between Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, like all these players, I think that they'll be able to spread it out enough that they should have some success passing the ball. And then, I mean, James Cook out of the backfield as well is just such a threat. I think that players like that are going to be able to eat against Baltimore eventually.
Well, in the last couple weeks as well, they had Baltimore played Zamir White, and then this past week, an old Zeke Elliott and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
So James Cook is easily the better running back there. So I think that's what correlates to these high passing yardages from the opposing quarterbacks is coaches are realizing, oh, we can't run the ball on them. So we're just going to have to throw it 38 times a game.
And have success doing it eventually, like enough, mud thrown up on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. So I agree with you there on Dallas's or Buffalo's side. I think I still don't feel good about any of their wide receivers. I'm praying for a bounce back game for Dalton Kincaid. Like you said, we're recording this before Buffalo plays here on Monday night. So maybe he gets his bounce back game there. So if we're having to wait to week 4, man, we thought we were having so many tight ends coming out to where the tight end pool was going to be deep for us.
Yep.
And I don't know. I don't know if there's one right now that you can just trust fully other than Brock Bowers. Brock Bowers right now is the best fantasy tight end out there.
And he kind of underperformed this past week on week 3. Sam Laporta got hurt with ankle injury reportedly too. So the neediness of tight ends is super high. Like there's so many hurt tight ends. Kittle, Ingram, now Sam Laporta. Hawkinson was already hurt before the season started. So, man, good luck with your tight end games. Watch the waiver wire video. We'll give you a couple of gems right there to help you out.
Little gems. All right, so the first Monday night game, we have to just go ahead and rip this Band-Aid off. We've got Tennessee going into Miami. Tennessee sitting at 0-3. Miami sitting at 1-2 now. Obviously, no Tua. Maybe no Skylar Thompson, depending on how his week goes for his recovery.
Even Kendall Fuller and Storm Duck are questionable as well. So
Teron Armstead went out of the game. Austin Jackson went out of the game at
David
one point.
Long
So
is questionable currently.
the Dolphins are banged up. The Titans are looking for a get-right game. They came into Miami last year on Monday Night Football and absolutely torched. So I don't feel great, Bob. I don't feel great about it.
I think you keep an eye on Tyler Huntley. If Huntley ends up getting the start in this game, I'm not saying that you start him in fantasy. You obviously have to start Tyreek. Hopefully you listened to us and you benched Waddle last week. Mm-hmm. But if you didn't, we're sorry for you. Devon Achane is what I want to talk about.
I know what he's got. If it's not Tyler Huntley, if it's Skylar Thompson, let me start with that. Do you bench Tyreek?
You can't. You literally can't. And
it hurts. It hurts so bad because it's like my brain tells me yes.
Yeah. You just can't. His potential.
He can take one play 90 yards for a touchdown.
Exactly. And at any time, he's that player that you spend a first rounder on him. If he's healthy, he has to play. It's just like Jamar Chase and all the the struggles you've been getting from him the last couple weeks, like you're still playing him if he's healthy no matter what. You have to play Tyreek. He was a top 3 pick. Like you bit the bullet whenever you did it originally, and it's going to work out for you in the long run. Definitely pick up some players like what we mentioned on our waiver wire, like Jawan Jennings, Michael Wilson, these types of players that'll help increase your bench a little bit, give you some more points elsewhere if Tyreek doesn't do it for you. But you're going to put up 250 points if you get a player like what Jawan Jennings did last week, and you get Tyreek at the same time going off for 25 or 30. Like you're going to win hand over fist.
Same thing for Devon Achane. Like, I mean, 11 carries for 30 yards this past week, 3 receptions for 28 yards on 5 targets. Like, not the best week, but he's a guy that can just absolutely break it open for you.
One play. It takes. And
Tennessee, who do you like on Tennessee's side for player wise?
So Calvin Ridley was a little bit underwhelming, and was Tony Pollard. I think that part of it was the game plan, and part of it was that they were locking down Ridley. The Dolphins secondary is decent, but I think that you still start Ridley, and I still think you still start Pollard. Levis obviously isn't somebody that's like a fantasy relevant quarterback right now, but he did look great last year against the Dolphins.
In a super flex, we even talked about this pre-show. In a super flex, Will Levis versus the Dolphins this week, after we saw what he did to him last year, or Anthony Richardson versus Pittsburgh. Now, it's at home for Anthony Richardson, but still versus Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And that defense.
I think I would go with Will Levis, just because I don't want to really... Anthony Richardson isn't at the point where like I need to see it to start him, but I'm definitely not excited about starting Anthony Richardson currently. The way he's looked the last 2 weeks, honestly, his passing the last 3 weeks has been absolutely abysmal.
Yep. And if he's not giving you the rushing
touchdowns, specifically the touchdowns, which he handed off 2 to Jonathan Taylor, and it was 2 drives in a row where it was literally 3 carries to Taylor. He didn't take 1 carry himself in the red zone, 5 yards from the end zone. So I'm not extremely excited about him until I see more. Maybe whenever Taylor gets up to the point of like 10 touchdowns on the season, then they'll start to swap it up and do a little bit more of that read option, and he'll take it. But right now, he's just a decoy, and it's working for them. Not enough to win games, but at least enough to score touchdowns. So I think Will Levis.
Yeah, I have to agree. And that's somebody that owns both of them in a dynasty league. So, like, I do have to agree. Like I said, I don't feel great about the game. You absolutely have to keep an eye on who is going to be declared the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. Even then, not entirely sure it matters at this point, because the offense as a whole just looks completely inept if Tua is not the quarterback in there. Moving on, last primetime game for you guys, Seattle going into Detroit. This one as well seems this is the better Monday night game for you as far as, competitiveness.
Yes.
Absolutely. This one for me, fantasy-wise, it's easy. You're starting all your guys. I don't know if you probably have a better option than Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think Tyler Lockett will have a lot of value because of the pass rush of Detroit. Will cause Geno to look for Lockett just sitting in the holes for a quick dump off. That came out wrong? Came out right? That sounded weird. You understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fantasy-wise, to me, this one's kind of chalk. But game outlook-wise, Jared Goff just, he's playing in a dome again. I think all 16 out of his 18 games he actually plays indoors. So that's awesome. Good for
him. And Jared Goff owners.
Jared Goff owners, absolutely.
What about Jahmyr Gibbs? I know that he kind of was a little bit banged up before the season started. He has been underperforming. He had 0 receptions this past week, and that's where he's supposed to be getting his value. David Montgomery was getting some of the touchdowns. Are we are we questioning whether or not we start Jameer? Or, like, if we were smart enough to get a Zach Charbonnet and we have no Kenneth Walker again, are we going to just play Zach Charbonnet over Jameer Gibbs?
That's tough.
Like, we knew Charbonnet was going to run all over the Dolphins. This is the Lions. They have a good run defense. They have a good defense in general.
For me, I think Gibbs is kind of in the Achane territory of he can give you a big play at any moment. And I mean, he still, granted, his touchdown was on that hook and ladder play. However, it was designed. So he was designed to get 6. So 80 yards and a touchdown for him. He technically got 20 yards for a reception. He didn't log a reception, but he got 20 receiving yards. So for me, I still stay with Gibbs. However, it is hard where Montgomery's also getting 23 carries for you. And so if Walker is out and I'm having to choose between just those two, I think I do lean Charbonnet.
Okay. I think in most cases, Charbonnet is an easy flex, and he should be starting in most leagues. Not because of what he did this last week, but because he has no competition. It's very hard to find a backfield that has one running back that's going to get 80 or 90% of all the touches. That's the Seahawks without Kenneth Walker. So I think that you kind of have to start Charbonnet.
Yeah, he got 18 carries this week. The backup got 3.
Yeah, and he had the 2 touchdowns was heavy in the red zone.
And 3 receptions on 4 targets. Another running back didn't log a reception. So, I mean, yeah, at 100% of the work. So that's where, I'd have to lean Charbonnet there. Overall, game-wise, I think I have to lean Detroit at home.
Yeah, the Lions are going to run away with this one. I
just like to cut their jib.
Unfortunately, DK Metcalf isn't a heavy volume guy. I know you mentioned about Jackson Smith. Him and Lockett are both the 2 guys that I think could potentially get the most value from there being like a shootout type thing. DK will still get his one play that'll make him fantasy relevant. That's who he is.
No, he still got 6 targets this past week, but
they were
Noah
winning the whole
also got 6. Tyler Lockett got 8. Jackson Smith only got 3, but that was to the point to where it wasn't really needed for him.
Yes.
So yeah, I agree. I think a shootout does favor Jackson Smith as far as, especially if Detroit comes out and focuses on DK's not going to beat us.
Yeah, exactly. As long as DK doesn't beat us deep, then we win the game.
For Seattle, I really think, if you can stop DK, because like you said, he's not a high volume receiver. He never has been. If you can shut him down over the top, you're probably looking at a very solid victory. Guys, we absolutely appreciate you. We love all of you. We're glad you're here with us. Hit that subscribe button down below. 500 subscribers, we're giving away a free jersey to one of you lucky viewers. TulsyRoseTea.com is the sponsor. At ProFootball_pod on the Twitter machine. Peace out. Outro music.